What's up, guys? This is Nick from P2W Fantasy, joined today by Thor, also from P2W Fantasy, and Collin, who's from Shotgun Fantasy. What is up, guys?
How's it going? Collin,
what's up, y'all?
nice
How
to
you
have you.
doing?
All right, well,
Thank you. I appreciate being on here.
yeah, of course. I think it's a long time coming. You've been on some articles, obviously, but little backstory, just for those listening. The three of us met at a fantasy convention 2 years ago. No, I'm kidding. The funny thing is, the three of us all graduated high school together. I've known Collin since the 7th grade, I believe, and he even stood up in my wedding. How about you two? How long you guys known each other?
Long time.
Yeah, I think like right around the same time, like 6th or 7th grade, back in Droughton Point, baby.
Yeah.
Very cool. I moved out here in 7th grade, so yeah.
Very cool. So yeah, we've obviously known each other for a while. We play in some fantasy leagues together, so always a good time getting everybody on the pod. But today's episode, we're looking at 2020, and I think some of the topics that we've been talking about kind of get repetitive over time, just because there's still some time before the season. So getting a little creative with this one, we're looking at some buy, sell, and fades, and these guys are going to be compared within their division. So I'll have a specific position, and then I'll have three guys, and you're going to pick buy, sell, or fade. And just to kind of define what we're looking at here, if you're picking a guy to buy, he's going to be a guy that you either are drafting, maybe in redrafts, or is a guy in 2020 you're looking to maybe make a trade for. So he's the guy you want on your roster. And the trade might be somebody that maybe you did draft, but you're looking to get rid of, maybe to get some value, or you wouldn't have him as high as the guy you're looking to buy out of the three. And then the third is fade. So that means maybe you're just avoiding this guy in 2020, or he's the third option with the three that we're going to compare. So pretty straightforward. I thought it'd be some kind of cool and fun to talk through today. So we can just kick it off and start with the first division. I have the NFC West. So with the NFC West, the three quarterbacks I have right now are Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, and Russell Wilson. So between those three, Murray, Goff, Wilson, I'll start with Thor. Give me your buy, trade, and fade.
All right. I will buy Russell Wilson. I will fade Goff. That's pretty easy. And I'll sell Kyler. Everyone likes a shiny new toy, and he's the rookie. Not rookie, he's the younger guy. And he's the sexier pick. Go ahead and trade him, and I'm going to take the vet with Wilson and ride with it.
All right. So, Collin, you on a different boat with this one?
Yeah, a little bit. As Thor said, he would fade Goff. That's actually who I would rather draft personally, just because for me, I like drafting quarterbacks late, and for their current ADP with like Murray and Wilson, those aren't really guys I'm looking to draft for, at least in like redraft. So for me, I'd probably buy in on Goff just because I think he's going to have a rebound season this year, as opposed to last year how it was like kind of hot and cold. But for me, I'd probably fade from Murray just because of his price tag. I do love him. I love the talent. I love the opportunity he has this year. But I just think for what he's worth right now, it's not really what I'm looking to pay. And for Wilson, I would like to sell him personally just because I think a lot of people are high on Metcalf and Lockett this year. So I think he could be a good candidate to stack with one of those if someone has Lockett or Metcalf and wants to get that stack. I just think it's the opportunity there. Opportunity is there, especially with the mobility he has as a quarterback.
All right, so two different approaches between you two. I think I have a little bit of a mix between the two. I also was going to buy Goff just because I don't think his price in a draft or maybe in a trade or anything like that is that high. And I think he could be a guy that bounces back. I think not enough people are talking about the things he might have done maybe a little bit better the year before. Obviously, they lost Cooks, but I think with Kupp and Woods, and if people are high in Higbee, that's some guys he's going to throw to. And I think McVay gives him the open door for that. I'll probably trade Kyler Murray because I think he's like the hype quarterback right now. The minute, Hopkins was signed to the team, I think everybody was, looking to shoot for Murray now. I think some people have Murray as their quarterback 3 in dynasties, which not in agreement with, but I think he, like Thor said, is like the shiny new toy that everybody wants. So I think I can get some good trade value in him if I have him. And then Wilson, I'll fade just because I think the price is high. I think he's going to be excellent. He's always good. But I think you're going to have to pay the price a little bit higher than you would for Goff. Maybe not as high as Kyler, but yeah. I think between the three of us, we all have a little bit of different pieces with that. Yes, sir.
One thing to add real quick is I am on board with drafting a quarterback late.
Yeah.
Especially in one quarterback leagues, I'm on board with that. I don't want Goff, so if I got to choose between the three, I'd rather have the best player than chancing that with Goff. I don't want it.
Yeah. I mean, it is
Makes
interesting
sense.
too what kind of league we're talking about. I think this whole conversation is kind of like broad, but that's an interesting point. Are you as low on Goff, Collin?
Yeah, I'm not as high on him in terms of like what quarterbacks I like actually want. If I like want to draft one a little earlier, let's say. I just think for, like you said, like his price tag right now with the ability to outperform what he did last year, I just think it kind of makes a little bit more sense if you're not trying to get a quarterback as early as what Murray and Wilson are going for right now. I mean, they're both like super talented and give you a little bit more beneficial points, especially with their running ability. But I just personally, I think for the price of Goff, it just makes more sense to buy him.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. We'll move down just because we got a handful of these today. We'll go to the wide receiver position right now, and we'll go with Robert Woods, DK Metcalf, and Deebo Samuel. So again, talking about 2020 here, buy, trade, or fade. Get them mixed up a little bit. We'll let Collin go first with this one.
For me, my buy would be Robert Woods, just because, kind of going along with what I was saying about Goff, I think the opportunity is there for him this year, especially with Cooks being gone. He's just a target hog. He gets towards the end of the year, he got so many more targets and looks than he did at the beginning of the season. The opportunity is just there. For sell, I'd probably sell Metcalf, just because coming into year 2, he's looked as this like breakout player that has the biggest potential, like one of the biggest potentials in the wide receiver category. So I feel like the hype around him is a little more than the other guys. So I'd probably sell him, and then I'd probably fade away from Deebo just because, not necessarily just because of the injury. It's a little scary, obviously, for 2020, just because the chances of him re-injuring it are a lot higher if he plays soon.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think with that offense, it's a run-first offense. So that's just, I'm not trying to touch him.
Got it. Thor, what about you?
I'm gonna buy DK Metcalf, and I'm a big fan of Deebo, but those are the two guys I'd buy between, is him and DK. Once again, I'm just not a big. I don't know what it is. I'm not a big fan of Goff right now. I'm not. I don't want any part of it. I could be dead wrong. It's just a gut feeling. So I'm going to buy DK. I just think he has that superstar potential. I really do. And with Deebo, I love the guy. But I loved him when I was getting him cheap. I don't want to pay, what is that, wide receiver? Was he at wide receiver 26 right now? I don't want to buy him. I'd rather buy other guys at that spot. With DK, out of this bunch, I'd rather buy him. But other guys that are going around DK, I'd rather have them. But in this certain situation, I'll take DK. I'll take DK, and then I'll fade Woods and trade Deebo Samuel.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna be different, and I'm going to buy Woods. I think out of the three, I like volume for wide receivers, and I think Woods is going to receive the most target share. Maybe he doesn't have the most touchdowns or huge playability, but I think when a guy like him is getting targeted at times last season, like 9 to 10 to 11 times, almost on a consistent basis, even with Cooper Kupp there, I just love the volume. So if it's 2020 Woods, if it's Dynasty, we're not talking about that, but maybe not the case. But I'm going to buy him, and he's not going super high in drafts, so I think the value is very good. I'll sell DK Metcalf. I like DK a lot. I think he's going to improve this next season, but I still think he is going to be behind in the target share from Lockett. Maybe I'm wrong. Some people say he will, lead the team, but I think he will be behind. And his catch rate's got to improve. I don't think that makes him a bad player. I think he's a rookie coming into a league and doing great things, so I'm not going to hold that against him. But again, I think the volume difference between him and Woods is what separates me, and a lot of people like DK Metcalf, and a lot of people will pay for him. So I'll trade him. Debo, I'm going to fade for reasons already said. Run first offense, and I also don't like the volume for the receivers. I know Kittle's going to eat, and there's no doubt about that. But as far as the wide receivers, I don't know if you can count on Debo getting 10 targets in a game like you might even DK or Robert Woods. So I'm gonna fade him there, even before the injury. But that's a good one. I had an audible from the running backs because I wrote down a guy who is questionable right now in Mostert with the running backs. Let not spend too much time on this, but just give me your quick. Will Mostert be a 49er next season? Either one of you guys.
Go ahead, Collin.
Next season, that could be a little tough just because depending on what this contract negotiation is going to play out as, it could be a negative thing for him. It could be positive. It could give him the money he's looking for just to kind of see if they actually want him there. But right now, I would say I don't think he's going to be back just because of like this situation. I think it's going to kind of cause some internal issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see them bringing him back, especially with obviously they've shown that they can do it with just about anybody.
Thor?
What about? Yeah.
I mean, if he doesn't want to be there, he doesn't want to be there. I think they'll find a way to move on because I think Shanahan can do a lot with a little. I mean, you look at he was undrafted in 2015. Like, no one's heard of this guy since last year. So,
yeah,
if he wants to get traded, and Shanahan and Lynch isn't afraid to make a move. So, I don't see him being on the 49ers, and I think it's a bad move on his part.
Oh yeah,
a system that works. He almost won a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
They signed you to a contract. Like I don't understand it at all. When I saw it, I was very dumbfounded. Just why? What did he hear in the offseason? Like, are they going to give more carries to Colvin then? Telvin Coleman?
Something must have happened that they're not coming out with yet because it's just really weird. Really weird timing too, especially like right before the season's like about to kind of kick in, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
I just don't think he has the leverage either in that whole thing. I mean, being like you said, 28-year-old guy who just came out and had a good season. I mean, maybe there's something behind the scenes where he just feels unappreciated, but I think it comes down to mentality. I could see the 49ers saying, hey, we went to the Super Bowl last year. Let's try to find a good one-year deal and say, hey, maybe we'll move on past that if we want to win now. They can have that mentality, or they can say, dude, we got McKinnon on the team. We got Coleman. We got Jeff Wilson Jr. There's a guy in our league trying to make a case for Hasty. We got all these guys. So it's going to go one way or the other, and I don't think he has the leverage. So if it's a re-sign, I think it's like a very small, like 1-year deal. Maybe not small money wise, but I don't think it's going to be like a 3-year deal for a 28-year-old running back. So
he just signed a 3-year deal. He's in 2019. He's there till 21.
All right, then I'm wrong right there. Yeah, I don't know.
He's an unrestricted free agent in 2022, and he'll be 30 years old. So,
all right,
what he's doing.
Something happened.
we'll avoid him
Something, yeah.
in this running back buy trade fade, just because we have no idea what's going on. So the three, and we could probably whip through this one or not. We'll see. Drake from Cardinals, Chris Carson, and I'll throw in Cam Akers in replacement of Mostert. So whoever wants to go first, take a stab at it.
So Drake, Carson, or Akers. Let's say for me, probably. Oh man, that's kind of tough. I'd probably fade from Akers just because I don't know their situation, how it's going to play out. A lot of running backs in that backfield right now with no really lead role. Trade, I'd probably have to be Drake just because of the value in return, because of the offense, how prolific it's supposed to be this year. So I'd probably trade him and then buy Carson. Obviously, he's injured, but if he returns from what he was at the end of last year before he got hurt, I just think that volume is there for him to succeed. So I'd probably buy him. So buy Carson, trade Drake, and fade from Akers. What about you, Thor?
I completely agree. I can hop back on Chris Carson's good side from the past podcast where I picked everybody over him. But,
Yeah.
but look at here. I can easily trade Drake with his value right now. It's RB12 in the ADP. Chris Carson, I'd rather have him over Melvin Gordon and David Johnson. And yeah, with Cam Akers, with where he's being drafted, it's like the Ingram, Le'Veon Bell, James Conner territory. And I'd rather have those guys than Cam Akers because he could be a stud or he could be a dud and not do anything. So, yeah, I'm on board with Collin. I will fade Akers, buy Carson, and trade Drake.
Yeah, we talked about Carson before, and I think he's undervalued and I think he's underappreciated. The only reason I'm going to say that I'm going to fade Carson is because I think he's healthy and I think he's going to be a beast, but with the hip injury, I don't know, and I'm not qualified enough to detail like if he's going to be a step back or not in 2020. I think he is a monster and he's a beast and he's a workhorse, but I'm going to fade him just because I don't know what that looks like. I'm going to buy Drake just because I'm going to take the hot hand on this. And just because of the cameo, I think, too, that he sensed. I'm going to buy Drake on everything now. And the guy I'm going to trade is Cam Akers because you're going to find guys in your league that are very high in rookies and have rookie fever. So I think you can use that as leverage. So if you're in a draft, let's say you have the chance to take Cam Akers without screwing up your roster, maybe you take Cam Akers with the intent that, hey, there's something I can get out of this with a guy who really is high on a rookie that might still be behind Darrell Henderson, who I am not a believer in, but I'm just saying it's unpredictable. So, yeah, I'm going to use the rookie as trade bait in this situation. Last one we got.
The rookie fever is high.
No, go ahead. Oh, the rookie fever?
No. Yeah, I was just saying rookie fever is crazy right now.
Yeah.
But so I mean I think that's a good point, and I don't think Drake would be very happy if you sold him. So
no, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think that's more thing in redrafts. Just touching on that briefly, and if you're in a redraft and you got guys who like actively watch college football and like pay attention to the draft, that's major leverage if you're taking some guys, and you're going to find guys that are fans of certain players. So I think that's a good point.
Yeah. I agree.
Last one in this division. I mean, I kind of scrapped for this one, so we can make this one brief. But I got tight ends: George Kittle, Tyler Higbee, Greg Olsen. It seems like super easy, but then like I think the second portion of it, you're like, what am I doing with this? But go ahead. That to a degree might be straightforward. Maybe Thor, you could start us off on this one.
Oh, I'm buying Kittle. I mean, if I'm going to buy a tight end, I want Kittle or Kelsey because they're just so much beyond the next tier.
Yeah.
And you touched on Kittle. He's going to eat, and I want that. Higbee, I'm not really a believer. I'll sell him, and Olsen I will fade. No way.
Colin?
I don't think he should be drafted.
Yeah, yeah. I on that last point, I definitely agree. I'm not even considering Olsen. Not even looking towards his way. Um, just on the fact, mainly, I mean, he's obviously over time great tight end, but he can't seem to stay healthy. So for that fact, I'm out. Probably sell Higbee as well, just because he's been super hyped over the offseason because of the 5-game stretch he had last year.
Yep.
I mean, it was great, obviously, but I just think right now he's at his peak value. So I think the best return, while like not really losing too much, would be that best option. And then obviously buy Kittle. I love Kittle. I like him more than Kelsey. Kelsey produces like crazy. I just like Kittle's style just because he's more physical and he loves WWE. So like
Yeah.
he just makes him a fun guy.
Yeah.
So it's hard not to like him. So I'd probably buy him.
Yeah.
What about you, Nick?
I'm on the same boat, and I'll make it short. Buy the guy that's going to produce for your fantasy team. I'm selling the guy, or I'm trading the guy that has a lot of hype. Like you said, Colin, the last couple of weeks, I think he was like tight end 1 or something over like 4 weeks, and then Olsen, I'll fade. Who knows if it's him or Disley, or if they shock the world and start like the rookie Parkinson. If I even said his name correct,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's up in the air. We're gonna move on here to the NFC North, which we all hold dear to our hearts as Chicago Bears fans. To a degree. But yeah, we'll start with the quarterbacks here. And I got Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, and Kirk Cousins. And I'll just start this one off to mix things up. But I'm a huge believer in if Matt Stafford has 0 back issues and he's has nothing lingering, that he's going to have a huge season. I think Thor, me and Anthony talked about some guys we think can sneak into the top 10. I had Stafford as one. I think he might have the best set of weapons he's had since Megatron. And even with Megatron, he probably didn't have that many other guys. So I'm huge on Stafford in 2020. I think I might sell Kirk Cousins or trade. Let's say trade. I'll trade Kirk Cousins because I think for some people, it might be hard to trade Aaron Rodgers because everybody's been talking about how they didn't sign a wide receiver and like who's that number 2 wide receiver on the team. And, Aaron Rodgers pissed off and they drafted Jordan Love. And there's all this turmoil. So I think with him not having as many weapons that are clear cut, I think it's hard to trade or like get a good trade for him. Whereas Kirk Cousins, you might be able to say, hey, they got 2 tight ends that they can roll with. Justin Jefferson was a stud in college. He's on the team now, and now Adam Thielen's healthy. He's got some decent weapons. So you can say Kirk Cousins is way less of a quarterback than Rodgers. That's fine. That's whoever's opinion. But I think you can get more of a trade potentially than you could for Rodgers. But I could be way off on that one. But that's who I got for mine. Either one of you guys can step in as the next one.
All right, I'll go next.
Come.
I kind of have a little bit of a difference as opposed to you, Nick. I'm also on the buy Stafford train, just because we saw what was on its way in 2019 with what he was doing performance-wise. For Rodgers, I think he would be my sell, just because. Yeah, he had a bad 2019 last year, and he's kind of like been fading statistically. I think if that offense starts off hot and he starts off hot, he could be used as like a bait and trade type player, just in case someone like drafted a quarterback that either got hurt or just not working out. So I think his potential value for trade bait could be more than Cousins. I think Cousins is probably a little bit more likable just in terms of like his consistency, because he is consistent. He's not always the best, but he is consistent, which is Rodgers' kind of like downfall. Yeah. He's not consistent in terms of fantasy. And then I'd probably fade Cousins though, personally, just because I'm not really sure how that offense is going to look this year, especially with Cook potentially holding out, and then just a new offense basically. So I don't know, there's just kind of like too many question marks for that situation personally. So I think I'm going to fade him, sell Rodgers, buy Stafford. What about you, Thor?
Yeah, I think I'm on board with fading Kirk Cousins. Absolutely. I don't want that. I don't want that any more than I want Jared Goff. So I just fade that one.
You just don't like what we have
And
to say. That's all I think.
what's up?
I just think you just don't like what we have to say tonight. That's all I think.
No, I just
No, I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you.
no, but it's just I don't want a part of Kirk Cousins. He's too streaky for me.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna try and sell Stafford's name, and I can't sell Aaron Rodgers. I can't. I'm not gonna. As Bears fans, we kind of know you can't quit on that guy. You can't say he's done because right when you think he's done, they're coming back and they're going to the NFC Championship or something like that. So
Like when they're down 17-0 and come back and win.
Yeah. Thanks for pouring salt on the wound even more.
I was having a good day today, but I guess not more.
It's just, being a Bears fan is rough. Let's just say that. But yeah, I'm gonna buy Aaron Rodgers. I completely understand buying Matthew Stafford instead, but I'm gonna go with Aaron Rodgers because it's Aaron Rodgers. I can't bet against the guy as much as I want to, and Matt Stafford is just he's either gonna ball out this year or he's gonna be extremely average. So I'll sell Stafford and I'll buy Rodgers.
Rodgers hurt me too much last year, so I can't do it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It might
do it.
The Bears like fan in my system. I've never I don't know. I just kind of avoided them before. It must be the bias. Let's see.
Well, I've drafted him in like double quarterback leagues.
That makes sense.
I try to like avoid like the bias when it comes to fantasy. Like obviously don't care for the Packers, but I like to win. So and like I just last year I drafted him in another league. It was just late. It was like the 9th round. He was there, so I just took him, but it kind of burned me.
No, and I think that's going to happen a lot this year in some drafts. I think Rodgers is going to fall. I mean, it depends who you're drafting with, but in some of these home leagues, Aaron Rodgers might fall because I think he's at his end of his career, and he might be able to get a steal.
Mm-hmm.
Could be the case, unless it's a super flex. But even in a super flex, might have some younger guys going before him that might not perform even close to the same way. Up in the air. Yeah. So let's move on. We're only just a quick note. We're only going to do the NFC today because we're already almost 30 minutes in, and we will probably all get in some sort of trouble if we stay on here for too long. So,
damn it, guys! Stop
don't need any of that.
Yeah. Running backs.
Talking on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Running backs, I threw in some kind of like more of a creative approach just to avoid like saying the number one guys that they have. But I have rookie DeAndre Swift. I have Tariq Cohen. And I have another rookie, A.J. Dillon. So give me your buy, trade, sell. We can start with Thor this time.
Can you start with me? All right.
All right, bet.
Yeah, thanks. Are we talking PPR or standard here?
We'll say always PPR.
Always PPR that I'm going to have to fade Dillon. I don't think he's going to be involved in the passing game enough. And it's a tough one because everyone's got rookie fever and he's way up there in ADP already. But I'm going to sell Cohen and I'm going to buy Swift to make it short and sweet. I'm sure Cohen's going to get used too much to the degree where Bears fans are just going to get aggravated like usual.
Yeah.
When he's getting goal line carries or getting third and short, and we're going to give it to Cohen because no one thinks it's going to happen. But yeah, I'm going to fade Dylan since we're talking PPR, and I'm going to fade Cohen because hopefully he's not used as much because I think Montgomery needs the carries and he just needs to eat. So I'm going to go with Swift. He's got a real chance to own that backfield, and in fantasy football, you want that. And he can do both. He can catch out of the backfield, as we know, and he's the type of guy that can just completely take over the backfield. Unlike before when we're talking about Akers, where you really don't know.
Yeah.
With Swift, I'll bet on Swift for sure. So I'm going to buy Swift, actually. And I'll sell Cohen.
Okay.
Got it. What about you, Collin?
Well, for me, a little bit of the same, a little bit different. I am fading away from Dylan. If it's not Dynasty, I really don't, not even like thinking about him. Like redraft, probably not touch him unless something happens to Jones.
Yep.
Or even, what's the other one? What's the other running back?
Jamal
Jamal Williams. If something happens to him, maybe. Just because I know they want to use the kind of running back by committee approach, but like still have Jones as the guy. For sell, I'm actually going to sell Swift, mainly because there is that rookie fever with him for sure. I know that's Nick's number one guy coming out of college. So, I mean, if I'm Georgia.
Yeah.
And if I were to, say, be in a league with Nick and say I draft Swift a little late, that's immediate trade bait to him because I know he's gonna bite on that.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on like who you're drafting with. And then I probably buy Cohen just because, kind of like with what Thor was saying, like for us Bears fans, we get a little annoyed with his usage. But I mean, the targets are there. No one loves him, loves having him. So I just think he's the cheapest option other than Dylan, because he's kind of just not someone like probably too many people would be looking for. So I was thinking in terms of like the price, Cohen just is a little bit more worth it for me.
Yeah. It's interesting with Cohen, kind of like what Thor said, is it's like the Bears are in the red zone and they hand it to Cohen up the middle, and I feel like I'm the one running the ball. He's just like little fast guy going, but they do love him, and he does get a lot of receptions. I think and I was going to talk about this on a different, pod or article, whatever, but everybody complains about, Kareem Hunt digging into the Nick Chubb stock all the time because of the receptions, but it's not the same level, but that's what he does to Montgomery. He just takes away that ceiling from him. But I'm going to trade Cohen because I'm probably going to show or bring up the receptions over the years because he's been not the James White level, but he's been the guy that gets a lot of PPR points every now and then because of the receptions. I got to buy Swift just because, just like Collin said, I'll pay for him. He's my RB1 out of college, above Taylor and above Clyde Edwards-Helaire for me, talent-wise. And, I feel all warm inside when I see videos of him working out with Matt Stafford and catching balls. So I think he has a good ceiling even for 2020. And I'll just be simple and I'll fade Dylan just because, kind of like what you guys said. I mean, is he going to have a role this year? I don't know. I mean, he had a workout picture that he posted, and I seen some things on Twitter that said adjust your rankings because he was pretty swole, but I'm not buying it. So that'll be my 3 for that one. We got
stop talking about the Bears.
What's that?
Stop talking about the Bears.
Hey,
you gotta stop talking about the Bears. I'm gonna have to put the beer away and go for the hard stuff.
I mean, we're almost out of this. We're almost out of this division, I think. No, we just started actually. So speaking of the Bears, we have one more with a bear in it, and then none for the tight ends. I got Allen Robinson, Devonta Adams, and Kenny Galladay. I thought this one was pretty interesting. This is a tough one for me personally. I'll probably just start this one off myself.
Please do.
I know, and I don't even know if I came to a conclusion.
Yeah, this one was really hard, dude.
gosh.
Damn you! Why are you asking good questions? Damn it!
I think, and I said before, I'm not going to rip this guy, but I said before in a different podcast, in a world of Michael Thomas not being the wide receiver one, I could see Devontae Adams being the wide receiver one. But I'm going to avoid paying for him with the what ifs right now. So I think I'm actually going to trade Devontae Adams because I think your return based off of what he's done in the past, I mean, finishing as high as like wide receiver 3 in the past, I'm going to trade him because I think you can get a great running back from him. I don't know if you can do the same in a trade for Kenny Galladay as high as you can for Devontae Adams. And with Kenny Galladay being the touchdown receiving leader this past year without his quarterback, I'm going to buy him with hopes that his targets increase, maybe separate a little bit more from Marvin Jones as far as the receptions count. And I think with Matt Stafford, he can mimic being a large touchdown guy. So I'm going to buy Kenny Galladay. I'm going to trade Devontae Adams if he's on my team for a great return. And then I'm going to fade Allen Robinson, who I think very, very highly of. But that's going to be my 3, and I think that might have been the toughest one for me so far. You guys rock, paper,
You want to
scissors.
go next, Thor?
I'll take it. I'll take it. That's fine. I mean, let's just be honest.
Oh,
There's
man.
out of those 3 guys, you don't want to fade either one of them.
No.
Yeah, you want either one of those guys. But
Yeah.
I guess what I'm going to say is I think Allen Robinson has a chance to leap into the top 5 wide receivers. I really do. I really think he has that opportunity. And that's just not being biased. I think he's been good since he was a rookie when he had Blake Bortles throwing him the ball. And just think about that. He's had Blake Bortles and Mitch Trubisky throwing him the ball his entire career.
Bortles had
still
some
is
good years, though. He had some good years in fantasy.
No, it's still Blake Bortles.
He did, though.
Come on. Mitch Trubisky threw for 6 touchdowns once, too. But I think Allen Robinson can be elite wide receiver. I'll take him. I'll buy him, and then I'll sell. You're not going to fade Devontae Adams, so I'll sell Devontae Adams, and I guess I will, at his current ADP, I will fade Kenny Galladay.
Who was a St. Rita boy.
Yeah, but I really think if Allen Robinson gets Nick Foles, I think he can be top 5 easy. I really do.
All right. Collin, what
Big
about
words right there?
Yeah.
I mean,
Man, this one was easily the toughest one for me because I'm really high on Robinson this year, just with like what I think can happen. I mean, we saw last year I think he was a top 12, top 10 wide receiver.
Yep.
And that was with very inconsistent quarterback play. And Chase Daniels was also throwing him the ball. Who was making so much money for some reason. I love Adams. It sucks like that all these Packers players are so good. It hurts. I like Galladay like a lot. I think he's gonna take a step forward this year. But so unfortunately, I probably have to fade. Oh, man. I'd probably have to fade Robinson. Just because I just think in terms of these 3, I just think in production-wise, he's just going to be 3rd. Like these guys are going to be Adams and Galladay are just going to be that much higher than him. I still think Robinson's going to be like at least top 15, top 12 at least. But I just think these guys are going to finish higher. So, and I would rather have one of those on my team. So I'd probably have to sell Adams because, like, kind of what Nick was saying, his price is just going to be higher in what you need or what you can get back is going to be a lot higher for him. I'd probably have to buy Galladay just because I think I just think he takes a really big step forward this year. And I've seen him go kind of late in drafts, not super late, but it's a price I'm willing to pay for him, I'd say this year. So I'd probably draft Galladay before Robinson.
Do you think if they played all 16 games, you'll pick Galladay over Robinson?
I think I would.
To me, it's really a toss up. I think I would though.
I don't like the bet. I don't like the bet, but I'd bet on Allen Robinson over Kenny Galladay right now. I would. I guess I'm gonna die on that hill. I'm posting the flag right now. Hey Rob.
I just think for me, it's like also the quarterback situation for Chicago. Like, yeah, if Nick Foles is the quarterback, he could excel a lot with Robinson, but we've never seen it before, so it's hard to like actually make that call and like feel confident with that. And I'm like, I think it can happen. I think it will happen. We also don't know how many games Mitch is going to play, how many games Nick is going to play. So it really depends. And like in Detroit, Mitch is starting week 1. I'll bet money on that. Just saying. And I like Stafford. It's known. Like it's going to happen. Like what's going to happen? It's going to be him all year. They're not thinking about what is Driscoll? Is he even on the team anymore? So
I think
for me, I think Galladay just has the confidence for me.
Yeah, I like Galladay because of I think the game script is going to be in their favor a lot of the times as far as the passing game. I think he's got a better supporting wide receiver in Marvin Jones than in 2020. I'm taking Marvin Jones over Anthony Miller, and that might be a debate for some people, but in 2020, not dynasty, just redraft, I'll take Marvin Jones. So I think that helps too, and I think the touchdown upside is there too for Kenny Galladay. But yeah, push and pull for sure. I'm gonna move along. So what we're gonna do now is just 2 different positions from the NFC East and South, just for the sake of time. Good conversations, but I'm sure we can talk about this for another hour or 2. But we'll try to cap it a little bit. So we'll go to NFC East. So I'm gonna skip the tight end at North. If we have time, we can go back to something. But I'll go 2 different positions for East and South based off of what we have here. Let's go NFC East running backs, which will be interesting. So for this, the 3 are Miles Sanders, Ezekiel Elliott, and Saquon Barkley. So you got Miles, Zeke, and Saquon. Anybody want to go first on this one? This is an interesting one too. I guess this comes down to think about this. You're not going to have all 3 in your roster, right? I guess it comes down to valuation of guys and what you can do with them, maybe. But it comes down to strategy for your team, I guess, too. So
I'll go. I mean, if I got a chance to if I'm deciding between Zeke or Saquon, I'm taking Saquon. I personally think he's the most talented player in the NFL. In the skills position, not including quarterbacks, that's a whole nother discussion. We talk about wide receivers and running backs. I think Saquon's the most talented. I want him on my team. He plays all 16 games. There's no limit. I really don't think there's a limit for him. And I guess I mean, you're not going to fade Zeke. Of course, you'd want to sell Zeke. And I guess you could fade Miles. I guess I could play devil's advocate with Miles. I'm a big Miles Sanders fan. That's more so on the dynasty side. And, if we were doing podcasts last year, I'd be sitting there telling everybody to buy Miles Sanders right now because it was a great get. But right now, his value or his ADP is shooting up way too high, and I'm going to fade him in redraft at this point. And I guess I'll sell Zeke and buy Saquon. Because like I said, Saquon's the most talented player in the league, in my opinion.
How about you, Collin?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm a huge Zeke fan. I just love his ability and what he does, just how hard of a runner he is. I would definitely say Saquon is more talented, but I think Zeke is one of the most consistent running backs you can find in fantasy football. But I would say I'd probably have to sell Zeke, unfortunately. Wouldn't feel good.
Yeah.
But It's like you can't pass up on having Zeke, or I mean having Barkley. So say if you're pick 1, 2, or 3, and Barkley is available at each one, or probably no, pick 2 or 3 because I'm sure CMC is going 1. You're picking Barkley if he's available. So probably have to buy him and then fade on Sanders. Twitter, fantasy Twitter loves him.
Yeah.
I love him.
I think he's a great running back, but who really knows what's going to happen with that backfield, regardless of who they don't have yet, or have now. He loves his running backs by committee, and these guys are workhorses, proven workhorses. So I'll take those. I'll take either of those guys over Sanders right now.
It's tough. It's tough because I think Saquon, and I agree with Thor. I think he's just ridiculously talented. Part of me says like, hey, is our defense is going to prepare to focus on stopping Saquon versus like worrying about the pass, and then on the flip side with the Cowboys and having like 3 excellent wide receivers and a promising tight end, are they going to play different against the Cowboys, knowing that they can be exploited in the passing consistently and the run game, which might open things up for Zeke this year? That's something I kind of juggled around a little bit with this one, just because I think Zeke has a better supporting cast that's going to open up the field for him. But I'm gonna go Saquon. I'll still go with Saquon, even though Zeke's got a better supporting cast, just because of the talent. I'll trade Zeke, and then I'll fade Miles Sanders just because I don't think he's close to the tier of those other 2 guys. Even though I think, again, like Thor said, dynasty wise, you still probably wouldn't put him in the same tier, but you'd probably promote him more than you will with the uncertainties in 2020. So I think we're all on the same page with some different asterisks for that one. I think the other.
Yeah, it was a tougher one.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say this one was tough too, just because like I'm a big Zeke fan, so like it's hard to pass on Barkley just because those thighs, man, they mesmerize you. It's tough.
The other position we'll go with for this one, before we go to the South, we'll go with the wide receivers for 2020. I wrote down Michael Gallup, Terry McLaurin, and Jalen Reagor. So we got some young guys in this one, all with different situational factors. And I could start this one off. I think I'm going to buy Terry McLaurin because he was the rookie wide receiver 1 this past year, which I think people don't respect enough. I know he has a different quarterback than some of these other guys do. Some people question, like, can Haskins really, over a full season, support a wide receiver to be elite? I don't know. I know they're going to throw the ball because they're not going to be good, in my opinion. So I think Terry balled out just as much, if not better, than A.J. Brown this past year, and I think people don't want to say that, but he did. So I want to buy McLaurin, and I don't think you have to pay the A.J. Brown price for McLaurin, when in reality, he's going to get probably more targets and more receptions and more big plays. So, I mean, I've kind of come to that realization with him. So I'm going to buy Terry. I'm going to I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I'm going to sell or trade Reagor just because of the rookie fever. And I think you can get a better value for him than you can for Michael Gallup, even though I think Michael Gallup still outperforms Reagor this year. It might be a hot take. And it's probably, I might regret saying that, but I still think Michael Gallup is very NFL talented, and we don't know if Reagor is NFL talented at this point. Will he be a big part of that offense, Reagor? Probably 100% going to be a big part of the offense, but I know Gallup can ball out in the NFL. I don't know about Reagor. So I think I'll trade him just because he's a bigger name, and I think everybody's worried about what are the Cowboys going to do with CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper and Blake Jarwin. Is Gallup, they had these rumors with the New York Jets, Gallup to the Jets, and are they going to trade Gallup? So I don't think you're going to get a good return in Gallup. I think you will with Rieger, but I'm for sure out of this on a rant by McLaurin. So anybody wants to jump in, feel free to do so.
I will also buy McLaurin, and I will trade Rager because of the rookie hype, and he's drafted. Everyone says he's drafted to be their wide receiver one. It's still, we don't know if it's going to happen. And as much as I like Gallup as the player, I have to fade it because of all the targets there now. I mean, they drafted CeeDee Lamb, and they didn't draft CeeDee Lamb to be a gadget player or something like that. This guy's going to be running all the routes. He's going to be on the field all the time. So I'm a huge fan of McLaurin, but to save time, I'm going to buy McLaurin, sell Gallup, or sell Rager, fade Gallup because of the target share.
Okay. Well, for me, I'm pretty much opposite of both of you. As you guys know, I'm a Gallup guy. All
right. Fair enough.
I can't help it. So I'm probably going to buy Gallup also because of the whole CeeDee Lamb situation, because he's more cheaper now than he was at the end of the season last year. So in that aspect, people are going to be a little more down on him. So I feel like this is like the better buy now price for him because he's still going to produce. They had 166 vacated targets when Witten and Cobb left. Cobb had 83 targets, 83 something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He still produced 1,000 yards. First time he's done that in years, and I can see them being able to do it again. And technically, statistically, Gallup's almost the same as Cooper. So who's really the wide receiver one? I don't know. We'll see. And then I probably sell McLaurin just because since Thor, I see you laughing. I see that.
I'm not laughing.
I don't think I don't.
I'm not laughing. It was a shock face. It wasn't the crying, laughing.
Like the Pikachu face. The Pikachu shock face.
It was shocked.
Well, I mean, he was only 80 yards and 2 touchdowns behind Cooper last year. So,
hey,
I mean,
dude, I get it. I get it. Stats-wise, Cooper is my guy, and he's been super disappointing from what I think he could be, but that's a whole new pod. Like Nick
he's just
said,
too inconsistent.
Yeah.
But to get back on the McLaurin part, I think his price right now could be beneficial just in terms of because people obviously like him and he does produce. He's a great wide receiver. So I think personally I would rather sell him because I like a lot of the other wide receivers going around him. So I could wait because actually Gallup is going after him right now. So I'd rather grab Gallup at that point. And for Rager, I'm fading just because kind of what Nick said. He was Thor said he's drafted to be the guy, but I still who knows what his role is. They have a weird arsenal of receivers there right now. So who really knows who's going to get the first go. So that just kind of strays me away from there. So I'm buying Gallup, selling McLaurin, and fading Rager.
Okay. Fair enough on that. We're going to jump down to the last one here. NFC South. We'll have 2 different ones. I'm going to go quarterback and wide receiver, and I made a little adjustment to the wide receiver, but I don't think it's going to mind blow you guys here because I know I sent you some of the list here. But let's start with the quarterbacks. Interesting enough, they have 3 veterans who've been in the league a long time and produced at different rates. All have been elite at some point. We have Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, and Tom Brady. So let's go. Collin, you can start this one off. So 3 major vets on this.
This one is also kind of tough just because these quarterbacks obviously have proven that they're great. The thing for me is I think Matt Ryan is in line to have a really great year this year. He's usually like every other year, he's a top 5, top 10 quarterback. So this is his year. He's supposed to be a top 5 quarterback.
Mhm.
So for me, I'm going to buy him because he's still going pretty late in drafts. He's not super expensive. I'd probably sell Breeze just on the fact that because of Michael Thomas, people are assuming he's going to have a great year, which I'm sure he will with Michael Thomas and the addition of Sanders. Hard to say he won't. And then probably fading Brady just because I think he has the best weapons he's had in years, maybe ever, just in terms of all-around weapons from top to bottom. But I still think they might be in that game controlling system. So who knows if he's going to like throw crazy numbers. I hope he does because Godwin shares that. We'll say I hope he does.
Yes, you do.
So I just think for me, I have to fade just because he'll probably go super late anyway. So I'd rather grab Matt Ryan and kind of see what's going to happen this year with his every other year statistic.
Thor?
That's just me.
Oh, it's tough. It's very tough. I guess I wouldn't fade. I can't. It's just really tough. But I'm just gonna go with it. I'm going to buy Brady. I'm gonna buy Brady because he's a cheaper quarterback out of the 3. He's got the best weapons, and it's a gut feeling thing, and it also has to do with Bruce Arians and what he's done with veteran quarterbacks before. I've talked about that on other podcasts, but I'm gonna go with buy Brady because of the weapons, because of Arians, and because Tampa's defense is still not very good. It's not. They're gonna be shooting out. I mean, I guess they've improved, but I don't see it personally. I don't see Tampa's defense being that good. I'm just all in on Brady this year, so I'm going Brady. I'm going to sell Breeze because I think you can get more value from him. And Matt Ryan, I'm going to fade because I personally wouldn't even take him over Brady or Breeze. So I'll fade Ryan, sell Breeze, and buy Brady.
I'm going to be closer to Collin on this one. I like Matt Ryan when he's hot, and I think he's going to sling the ball. I don't see them becoming something that they haven't been in the past. Even with Gurley there, I think Julio being one of the best ever to do it. I think I'll have a elite Julio before I have an elite Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, in my opinion, if they're all healthy and good to go. Plus, there's a lot of hype around Calvin Ridley, which you can buy into it or not, but he's still gonna perform. And they have a new tight end. Russell Gage is there too. I think they're gonna throw the ball a lot, and I think he's going to be more fantasy relevant because of the touchdowns and the yardage versus Brady, who I think is going to win the Bucs games. And unfortunately, when I think about winning games in real life, it doesn't really mean always that they're going to win fantasy games. So I think with Brady, I think the touchdowns could be there like in the past, which is awesome for fantasy leagues. But I think he's going to game manage, and they're going to play for the win. They did bring back a lot of their defense, and I'm not going to say they're elite or anything like that, but I think Brady's going to come in and run a show that involves spreading things out and just looking to win and not really giving a shit if he's throwing the ball down the field. So I think I'm going to sell Brady just because you can easily say, hey, I mean, Brady's got freaking Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, and you can just say Gronk's back, and you can say all these things. I think he's going to be very good this year. So I think it's easier to sell like the GOAT versus Matt Ryan or Drew Brees. And I think Brees will also be excellent. I think all three of these guys, being the age that they are and vets in the league and everything, I think all three can have a great 2020. But yeah, I'm going to go with Matt Ryan on this to buy. I'm going to fade Drew Brees just because I'm not buying him, and I don't think I can sell him as good as I can Brady or trade him as good as I could Brady on this. But I thought this was a good one too, just because they're all kind of similar in their timelines and stuff like that. So,
absolutely, that was a good one.
What we have left here? Let's go with wide receivers. I was gonna go CMC, Kamara, Gurley, but that's kind of similar to the Saquon Zeke sort of thing, and I think we'll be repeating a little bit there, even though Miles is a tad bit younger. But let's go with wide receivers. We'll go with DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, and Mike Evans on this. I think I had Emmanuel Sanders at first, but I wanted to spice things up with Evans on there. So, again, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, and Mike Evans. What do you guys think? We'll go with whoever wants to step up first in this one.
Go ahead, Thor. You got this.
Ooh, volunteer.
All right, it's DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, and
Mike Evans.
Who else?
Mike
Evans. I know I just said the whole, Tom Brady thing. I'm all in on Tom Brady. I am all in Tom Brady. But with Mike Evans, it is current ADP being drafted as number 7 overall wide receiver. I'm going to have to fade that. Big fan of him, but I just think there's so many targets there that I'm not sure what he's going to do this year. So I'm going to fade Mike Evans. I'm going to sell Ridley. I'm going to buy DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore and Calvin Ridley are both super talented. Ridley has the better quarterback, but I think target share is just going to be huge for DJ Moore this year. And I'm also same page as Nick. I'm a huge fan of him. I think he's going to ball out. So I'm definitely going to go DJ Moore with the target share over Ridley this year. So buy DJ Moore, sell Mike Evans, and fade Ridley.
All right, I'm going to jump in real quick on this. Obviously, massive DJ Moore fan. I'm going to buy him. I think he's very, very talented. First round out of Maryland. I think he's going to eat up the target share, even with the other guys in the team, even with Teddy being not traditionally a slinger. I think DJ is going to be a good cushion for Teddy. I think Calvin Ridley's got massive hype in fantasy right now. I think a lot of people were team like go get Ridley, expecting Julio to kind of evaporate or something along those lines. But I'm going to trade Ridley because of the hype. I think you can get a great return on Ridley. I've seen some polls on Twitter where people are selling him for a good buck. And I'll fade Mike Evans. I like Mike Evans a lot, but it's just kind of unpredictable. Like, how is this offense going to run? We don't know. We don't even know. And we could debate this more, but we don't know who the starting running back is. We don't know if Collin. We were on my driveway one day. Like, is Gronk going to be a decoy? Like, is OJ Howard going to be relevant? Like, there's so many question marks. So I'm just going to fade Mike Evans for that. But just to make it quick on that. So I'll turn it over to you, Collin, to end us off here.
All right, for me, I'm pretty much in the same boat as you guys, but a little bit more different reasons. So I'm going to fade Evans just because I'm more of a Godwin guy. Mm-hmm. So for me, if I'm not going to draft both of them. I obviously can't draft both of them, most likely. So for me, I'd rather have Godwin just because he's like the possession guy. Evans is more of the boom guy. So, I mean, that could change with Brady. We don't know. We haven't seen it. But for me, I'd rather have Godwin. So I'm going to fade Evans. And then I'm going to sell Ridley, mainly on the fact of just he's at his peak value right now in terms of what you can get for him and what people are buying him for. So, because I think he's going to be great. He's just going a little too early for me. Well, not really too early because you can actually get him at a pretty good price. But I just think you can get a lot for him just because that hype has been built up. And then I'm going to buy DJ Moore, mainly because he is the one in a system, new revamped system completely. So I just think the target volume will be there for him. And also buying him to potentially flip as well. So buy to flip because people are like hyping him up as well. So it could be a good piece to get and then trade for something who you like really want, if that's the type of strategy you want to go with. But like for me, if I were to draft him, I'd probably keep him. But if I were to trade for him, I might trade him afterwards again, just to kind of see what, or at least like try see what like availability there is for him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I would be buying more, selling Ridley, fading it.
Makes sense. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap things up there just because we're over the hour mark and only got through the NFC. We had the whole league planned out, but maybe for another day. So on the YouTube video that will go out, you can obviously see our I can see if I can. There you go. Our Twitter handles, but I think we actually get more of the listens and the content views from the podcast. So, Thor, where can we find you at on Twitter?
Right there at FF Thor Mikey on Twitter.
For podcast purposes here, just for those who are just listening. There you go.
Absolutely. Whoever was listening on podcast, I did a little pointy thing, but it's hard to find it. You gotta, anyways.
Yeah. All right, Collin, what about yourself?
For me, it's at Shotgun Fantasy, just how it sounds, just how it's spelled. Catch me on there. Give me a follow. And
you guys are very active, commenting on certain things. Polls are a big thing. I see Collin nonstop interacting with the community. I'm just at P2W Fantasy. So you can find probably all of our content, all three of us, tagged on each other's stuff and things like that, just from Twitter, podcast, YouTube. That'll be posted shortly, but gonna end it there. Thanks again for coming on, guys.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Glad I could join the P2W crew and get this done.
Sounds good, and we will link up very soon. So I'll end it there, and thanks for listening, guys.